is Rebecca Edmonds, and
I'm Kristen Edmonds.
And we're here to talk today about her father and the Vietnam War. So could you start off by telling me what that was like having your father in the Vietnam War?
Well, I was very young. We lived in Okinawa, Japan, and I don't remember him being around very much. I do remember my mom worrying. I have specific memories of her being very worried because he was a pilot in the Air Force and flew many missions. So we didn't see him a lot. There are also these weather events called typhoons, which are similar to hurricanes in the U.S. And we went through a number of typhoons while we were there as well. And I remember specifically my dad being gone during every single typhoon that we went through. And so we kept these huge plastic tub things in our bathtub, and they would just stay full of water just in case we lost water and power during a typhoon.
And to this day, you'll still fill the tub up if we're going through a hurricane.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So while of course, I wasn't the one in the war, even being very young, like from 4 to 8, while we lived there, it was just a wartime experience. Of course, we never were bombed or anything on the island, but just knowing that your dad is flying missions, and even at that age, knowing that death is a high probability, it just kind of shaped our growing up years.
How do you feel like it set you apart from other people, or made your childhood a little bit different?
Well, I know it was very different for those who were refugees, maybe in World War II, or, there are lots of, I have friends whose parents are Vietnam refugees who escaped to the U.S. Trying to escape the war. So while that type of war situation is not what we experienced, I do know the experience of the fear of having a loved one in a war, especially, your parent, and worried that they would never come back, and seeing your other parent very worried, so I think it maybe kind of instilled some fear in my brother and I very young. He made it through. And
did you ever see any of the effects going through the Vietnam War had on your father?
My dad is a very positive, quiet man.
Very strong.
Very strong man. If anything, probably what it did was, I remember having a conversation with him when I was going through what I considered to be a difficult time, a number of years back. And I remember my dad saying the only time he has ever been stressed in his life is when he was being shot at. And that really made me think about how being in the war must have impacted his view on what's important in life, what he considered to be stress and not stressful. He's never told one story about any of his missions. Like I said, he was always quiet. Not that he didn't talk, but he's never really shared a lot of stories. I'm still learning about who he is because he's becoming a little more open and shares more. But I have a feeling it did shape who he was as he continued in the military, and then once he got out of the military.
That might explain why I see him as such a strong man who's able to resist so much stress.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that's what it taught him, how to be resilient.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.